Excited to be joined by the general manager and also the head coach of this year's Goderich Flyers, our friend Todd Norman. Normie, how are you, man? It's been a long summer. I'm sure you're excited to get back at it.
It has been a long summer. It's going to be good, I think, and looking forward to the start of the season for sure.
Now, you took on an interesting project when you joined the franchise, obviously, and started off there in a management role. And obviously, a big announcement coming that you're going to be stepping behind the bench, which is something that you're not unfamiliar with, obviously. But tell us a little bit about that decision and how you're going to kind of juggle the two roles, obviously, stepping into that kind of Pat Quinn role, if you will.
Yeah. Yeah, I hope I didn't bite off more than I can chew here. I guess sometimes when you have a vision for the way that you want to see a team or an organization, I guess the direction that you want to see it go in. Sometimes you need to put your stamp on that, not only in a management role, but on the ice as well. So, heading into this season, we made the decision, myself and some of the executive, that I would go back, or I would go to the bench. And that we're going to get we were very fortunate and ended up getting Kenny Jacqueline to join us out of Mitchell. So we got some experience behind the bench, and then we've brought in a couple younger former Goderich players to help us out in an assistant role with Trent Buchanan and Kyle Langlois. So they'll help us out there as well.
Obviously, you mentioned Kenny Jacqueline jumping over, who obviously has plenty of championship experience, much like yourself, coming out of that Mitchell program, that great title run that they went on a couple years ago, and obviously has head coaching experience as well. Kind of a big get for you guys to get somebody like him in there to join you on the bench, and I'm sure it'll kind of, not that you would feel pressure or anything because you know what you're doing back there, but I think it does take maybe a little bit of pressure off you in terms of trying to get that consistent message across, certainly.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, like I think Kenny and I, I'd say we're on the same page as the way we see the game being played, the type of style that we want. I guess also, kind of, how we go about, talking to the players and our communication. Um, you know, we're, we're still a very young team. These kids are going to need lots of coaching, lots of encouragement. And that's I think Kenny and I are going to be a good fit that way. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to the fact that Kenny does have quite a bit of experience, whether it was through minor hockey or with his time in Mitchell. He'll be able to, take the lead on a few things and be able to, without hesitation, bounce ideas off of me that sometimes maybe younger coaches are maybe a little bit nervous to do so. I'm looking forward to the fact that Kenny will say, "Hey, I think we should be able to try this or do that." So yeah, I'm pretty positive that things are going to run well this year. So.
Yeah, and Kenny, I mean, he's you guys are both great hockey men, and obviously you talk about bringing some former Flyers in to help out as well, which will really kind of give a local flavor and some of that Flyers pride in the room that kids can kind of connect to right away. And you mentioned how young you guys are. You guys were very young last year. There's been a real emphasis and focus on homegrown talent and trying to emphasize the local minor hockey programs, not only in Goderich, but in the surrounding area. Tell us a little bit about how your team is shaping up this year. Obviously, there was a learning curve last year. You're coming in with your second year with the franchise here. Tell us a little bit about your outlook on the year this year and the type of team that we can expect.
Yeah, last year was definitely about, I guess changing the culture, in Goderich, in the dressing room, the whole bit, you know, um, trying to get guys that were going to come and play and play for the right reasons. We didn't, we weren't a talented team last year. by any means, and we knew that it was going to be a long year. I really commended the guys. They stuck it out through a very trying year. Practices and everything like that were very well attended, and for the most part, the guys, had a smile on their face. This year, we've made a few changes, obviously, within our roster, and we've picked up some key acquisitions. I'll start with getting Ian McIsaac back from Sarnia. He's a Goderich kid that played a year for the Flyers before moving on last year, Junior B. Obviously, had a rough season last year with that Achilles injury, but he's been back. He's been nothing but great in the dressing room. We picked up a couple of young kids with Caden McDonald out of the Huron Perth program. Ryan McGee, who AP'd with us last year. And he played Stratford Double A last year. And then we've got the Kingston and Caden Powell. And they, both Goderich kids as well. So we've got lots of local talent, which is important when you have a junior program, and you want the community to be involved. They want to see local kids on the ice as well. I'm expecting us to play at a higher pace this year than what we did last year. I think our scoring will be improved than what we were last year. We're still going to need work on the defensive end, like any junior teams. We have to be sound defensively, even though our scoring is going to improve. I don't think we're at the point where we can outscore. As they say, outscore your problems. We're going to have to still be tight checking and everything like that. So yeah, our roster isn't set yet either. I know it's getting down to it. But we're still kind of looking at those last few roster spots that we need to fill, and we want to make sure that we fill them with the right people. Because some of those, some of these positions that we're looking at, they're not for everyone. Sometimes it's tough to tell a kid, like, we're looking at you to be our 11th or 12th forward, and you're going to play some special roles, or you might not be in every night. But you're going to learn a lot. Like, that's a tough pill for some kids. But overall, I like the look of my group. We will be improved. I don't know where exactly we're gonna fit in the standings, but we're gonna ice a much more competitive team this year, and I think that's all we can ask for right now.
100%. And I mean, like you said, when you took this project on, I mean, I remember talking to you last year, and you knew there were going to be challenges. And this is all part of that building process, something that you're familiar with in the past with teams that you've been a part of. And this is all part of that. And, you mentioned last year being so young. I mean, your top four scorers, they were all rookies, led by Leland Weber, who obviously led your team in goals with 10 and points with 24, followed by Jackson Andrews, Jared Houghton, and Trent Carter, all rookie kids that really stepped in. And, obviously you mentioned challenging year, but they came to play every night. And one thing you could certainly say about the Flyers last year, amidst that challenge, was they could skate. Like, you guys could really skate and keep up with guys, and those youthful legs certainly gave teams problems on a number of nights and kept you guys in games. I wonder how many of those guys are returning. Who are some big returning players that you're looking forward to having back?
Yeah, well, all four of those are back. And then we've got Jeremy Hamilton on the back end, who logged a lot of minutes for us last year. And then we've been fortunate that we've picked up a couple overage defensemen as well. So they're going to help out on that back end for sure. But really, we kind of had one of those teams last year where we almost could have brought everyone back. It was we only had two players graduate out of the league. Which you don't really hear that too often. Carson Stutzman is another kid that is back for us, who is a good leader in the room, and plays the game the right way. And like I said, he's good with the kids, or the younger players, I should say. And he's just one of those guys that you like to have on your team for sure. Um, yeah, like I said, we've got we do have a lot of returning players. We have made some other pickups with some younger players. We're still going to be quite a young team, but like I said earlier, we're going to be competitive, and I think it's going to be a different year for the Flyers. So I'm looking forward to that.
Well, and obviously, you mentioned those top four guys that led your team in points last year, all rookies, and for them to all come back, obviously, it lends to those guys, that core group that you had in terms of your offense and your defense, like you mentioned, buying in. They believe in where the program is going because I think, everybody saw the talent that some of those guys had, and I'm sure they maybe had offers to go elsewhere, and they're all coming back. So that obviously is part of that culture shift that you talked about in Goderich, where they believe in the program and they want to come back. And you're a big part of that, I would think. Let's talk about that decor a little more. Obviously, you mentioned you got a veteran guy coming back to help out, but who are some new additions maybe that you're excited about, even around the roster, some of the young local kids that are coming in that you're excited about that people should know?
Well, I do think up front, like we've got our 08 with Kingston Powell. He was a Huron Perth Laker last year. He's been skating at some B camps. Kingston's a really, really strong skater. Um, he's got the he's got the skill set to put the puck in the net. Plays with a little bit of an edge as well. He's going to be one to look for. Caden McDonald, U18 out of Huron Perth. I think I mentioned him earlier. Big, strong kid. Probably play a little bit of wing, a little bit of center. Another right shot forward for us that I think has the ability to score as well. Um, who else do we have here? Ryan McGee. He's another local kid out of Goderich, and Ryan's a real talented skater. Possesses a good shot as well. He's probably going to be top six, middle six forward for us as well. On the back end, not a new guy to Goderich, but not a new guy in the league. Austin Waite out of Kincardine, played with the Bulldogs. He's going to be a nice calm presence back there for us. Lots of I guess lots of games played in the league. Good guy in the room. We'll be able to settle things down. And Jacques Steckel returning to Goderich after a year in Exeter as well. Jack, right shot defenseman, can play the power play as well. Has the ability. Obviously, the year or 2 years ago, I guess he was 30-point range for a defenseman. We got some pieces that we didn't have last year. These are all kids that are back. They want to be here. They're here for the right reasons, and we're like I've said before, I'm looking forward to it. I think they're looking forward to it. I think they can kind of see that things are trending in the right way. It's not an overnight process where you go from eighth to first. Especially with the talent that we have in the Pollock division. We got to compete every night against seven other really strong teams. So we know it's going to be a grind, but we're looking forward to it.
Obviously, you can't really talk about a team without talking about goaltending. And last year, you had two guys that both kind of split time and battled hard for you and logged a lot of minutes between the two of them, both of them playing over 1,200 minutes. And that was Logan Bromley and obviously Christian de Jong, both kids who were really highly touted and showed off their skill set. And despite the challenges of the up and down season and a young team in front of them, they both performed very admirably. What does your crease look like this year, Todd?
Yeah, right now we've got four guys at camp still that we're giving a good look to. And they're all battling it out. This is the tough part of being a general manager, or even when you're a kid playing. Nothing is ever guaranteed. You got to earn everything that you go for and you get. But all four of these kids are, they're working hard. They're showing us their best. And it's we're going to have to make a decision pretty soon. We're a couple of weeks out. Um, However, Bromley and De Jong last year, like you mentioned, they played excellent for us. There was nights where they were facing a lot of rubber, and they didn't complain. They didn't get down on the team or whatever. They kind of knew the drill. They knew what we were doing last year. And that last year was one, like I said, where it was, we were getting the guys that were in the dressing room. We were a young team. We knew that it was going to be a long season. Those guys, like I said, they logged lots of minutes, but they were cheering for one another. They generally wanted to see both, they generally wanted to see both of them do well, or see the other do well when he was in the crease. So, I can't say enough about either one of them. I think they were great, two great guys in the room, and we'll see where things happen this year. But you know, as a general manager, or someone that's trying to build a team, doesn't matter what position. You're always trying to look for the best players, and you're trying to improve your team every way you can. So we got four guys right now competed. They're competing hard, and it's gonna get down to the nitty gritty here soon.
Absolutely. Are either of those two among the four guys that are
Oh, they're
competing?
both, yeah, but they're both
Awesome.
there. Yeah, they're both right there. So yeah, we got those two, and then we got two others that are still at our camp currently. So yeah, yeah, we got one more exhibition game, so we're gonna get them in and take a look at them, and yeah, away we go.
Well, it's great to hear that you have so many decisions to make, obviously, because, while on one side of things it's difficult to make those cuts and tell kids that they're not going to be part of the program at the end of the day, it's also nice to be able to have a bunch that are interested in coming out and want to be part of the program, which is great news. I want to ask you finally as well, just about, what some of the tougher challenges are when you take a project on like this, Todd, and you're really kind of hitting the reset button, emphasizing local talent, young guys that you can really build the program around and build trust around for other guys to come in. What are some of the challenges? Is it trying to teach fine details? Is it special teams? Like, what are some of the big challenges that you're looking at, you, Kenny, Jacqueline, and the staff? What are some of those big challenges when you take a project on like this?
Uh, well, there's a lot. I think the biggest thing that we've had to face is that Goderich has been in the league for I'm not too sure exactly how many years. And they but if like, if we're being honest, like, they've been a losing organization. So the biggest thing is to create uh is to create an atmosphere where you're doing the right thing for the kids. You know, you're trying to build a culture where you're basing it on, hard work, and teaching these kids what your philosophy of the game, and that we're not just a place to come because you want to come and play junior C hockey. You're going to come to an organization where we're going to treat you properly. If you have any concerns, you're going to be able to talk to us about these things. At the very end of the day, like, these kids are playing hockey because they want to play hockey on the weekends. And they're good enough to play junior hockey. But we're hoping that, we're instilling other things within them, not just, hey, you're a good hockey player. So, we're trying to create that atmosphere in Goderich, where kids want to come. I don't think we've had that, um, you know, very much in the past. Um, and, as a former player, I understand that aspect of it. Like, players want to go to winning teams. So, is that going to happen overnight for us? No. So we just got to try to do the right things, treat the kids the right way, help them on and off the ice as best as we can. And, at the end of the day, hopefully they had a good experience with us, and, they can go home and tell their parents that things were great, or they can tell their friends at university or college, hey, you know what, like, this was a great experience over there. We had a lot of fun. They treated us the right way. That's kind of, the way I approach things right now. The hockey side of the things, yeah, like, when you want to get into the kind of the smaller, finer areas, then yeah, like, you know, all the hockey things, like the forecheck, the neutral zone regroups and all this little stuff, the special teams, like, those are all important things too. But, on a bigger, broader scale, we're trying to install other things.
Absolutely. Well, and I think that that's the critical thing. And, the old saying they always tell us, players are your best recruiters. So I think that that's the right way to approach it. And I certainly have a lot of belief in you and the coaching staff and the front office there. We've seen you guys all do a lot of winning in many other settings. And we're excited to see what the Goderich Flyers have in store for us for the 2024-25 season. Todd Norman, the GM and head coach of the Flyers, thanks so much for doing this, my friend, and best of luck this season. We're excited to get started.
All right. Thank you, Ryan. Take care.